I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My word is my wand. This is the exact Florence Shinn affirmation that turns you into a magnet for everything that belongs to you by divine right. So let us start with the premise, as stated in Haggai 2:8. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts. Notice the exact wording of this verse. The silver and the gold do not belong to the wealthy. They do not belong to those who hustle hardest. They do not belong to those who deserve it most. The silver and the gold belong to God, and you are a child of God, which means that everything you call wealth has only one true owner, and that owner has already willed it to you by divine right. The only question that remains is whether you are operating as a magnet for what already belongs to you, or whether you are operating as a person chasing what you believe is somewhere outside of you. And Florence Shinn built her entire body of teaching on this exact principle, that you do not chase what belongs to you, you become the magnet that draws it. This is what I would like to discuss with you today. Now, before we go any further, I want to stop here because what I am about to share works most powerfully when you are already standing in the right consciousness to receive it. So I need you to say this out loud right now with me. Even just a whisper is enough. Say, I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My word is my wand. Say it one more time and mean it this time. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My word is my wand. Good. Now hold that. Notice what just happened in your body when you said it. That subtle settling, that quiet recognition. That is the consciousness Florence Shinn spent her entire career teaching her clients to access. And you accessed it in 5 seconds with 3 sentences. That is the power of speaking from the consciousness of magnetism rather than from the consciousness of pursuit. And one quick thing before we go further. If those words landed for you, drop them in the comments below right now. Just write, I am an irresistible magnet, so I know you are claiming it with me tonight. And subscribe to this channel right now so the next Florence Shinn affirmation finds you exactly when your consciousness is ready for the next step. And then we go deeper. So let me start here with the first piece. What irresistible magnet actually means and why most people misunderstand it completely. When Florence Shinn used the word magnet, she did not mean it as a poetic metaphor. She meant it as a precise description of how consciousness operates. A magnet has a specific energetic polarity that draws certain metals toward itself without any effort. The magnet does not chase the iron. The magnet does not negotiate with the iron. The magnet does not try to convince the iron to come closer. The magnet simply is, and the iron moves toward it because of the unchangeable nature of the magnetic field. This is the consciousness Florence wanted her readers to develop. When you say, I am an irresistible magnet, you are not asking for wealth. You are declaring that your consciousness operates at the polarity that wealth moves toward. You are not trying harder. You are simply being the field, and the field does the drawing. This is the difference between manifestation and pursuit. Pursuit assumes the thing is outside of you and you must close the distance through effort. Magnetism assumes the thing is already drawn to your field, and your only job is to maintain the field. Let me tell you something specific about how Florence Shinn taught this principle to her actual clients, because she did not teach this from theory. She taught it from results. In her work in New York City in the early 1900s, Florence guided hundreds of clients through real financial crises using this exact magnetism principle. One pattern she observed across all of them was this. The moment a client truly shifted from chasing to magnetism, often within days, something would arrive that they had not been pursuing. An unexpected check, a forgotten debt repaid, a new client appearing without effort, an opportunity surfacing from a person they had not contacted in years. The visible event always followed the consciousness shift, never preceded it. And Florence documented these cases in her books, not as miracles but as evidence of the law operating with precision. The law of magnetism is not religious, it is mechanical. When the polarity is right, the iron moves. When the polarity is wrong, the iron stays. Your job is the polarity. This changes everything about how you operate during the day. You stop scrambling. You stop trying to force outcomes. You stop chasing opportunities that do not naturally come to you. Instead, you maintain the consciousness of being the magnet, and you wait for what your magnetism naturally draws. The second piece is the divine right principle, which is the most empowering teaching Florence Shinn ever gave. Divine right is not a religious doctrine, it is a practical law. The principle states that within the divine plan for your life, there exists a specific allocation of wealth, opportunity, relationships, and circumstances that has been set aside for you alone. This allocation cannot be given to anyone else, cannot be intercepted, cannot be reduced, and cannot be withheld from you by any person, condition, or power. This is what belongs to you by divine right. And the moment you accept this principle deeply, something shifts in your nervous system. The constant low background fear of scarcity begins to dissolve, because scarcity assumes that what you want could be taken by someone else, that you must compete to get yours, that you must hurry before the opportunity disappears. But divine right operates outside the rules of scarcity. What belongs to you by divine right cannot be touched by another person's wealth, cannot be diminished by another person's success, cannot be lost because someone else got there first. And let me make this even more concrete. When you walk past someone wealthy on the street, when you scroll past someone wealthy on social media, when you hear about someone wealthy in the news, every dollar they possess has nothing to do with your divine right allocation. Their wealth was their portion, not yours. Your portion is separate and untouchable. This is why competing with other people for wealth is the most exhausting and unnecessary thing you can do. You are not in a race with them. You are in a relationship with your own divine right. And the more deeply you accept this, the more the contracted, competitive energy releases from your body. You stop tracking other people's wealth as if it were a threat. You stop comparing. You stop measuring yourself against what they have. You begin to operate from a quiet certainty that what is yours is moving toward you regardless of what anyone else receives. When you say, "For all that belongs to me by divine right," you are not asking the universe to figure out what should be yours. You are simply acknowledging that the allocation already exists in the divine plan, and you are positioning yourself to receive it. The third piece is why "for all that belongs to me" beats specific requests. And this is the piece that contradicts every modern manifestation teacher. Almost every modern teaching emphasizes specificity. Write down the exact amount, picture the exact car, name the exact house. But Florence Shinn taught something very different. She taught that when you specify exactly what you want, you place a limit on what the law can deliver. You say, "I want this specific car," and the law works to deliver that one specific car. But the divine plan for you may have contained something even better that you did not know to ask for. By limiting your request, you blocked the greater good. When you say, "For all that belongs to me by divine right," you are letting the divine plan select what comes to you. And the divine plan knows better than your conscious mind what you actually need and what will actually fulfill you. This is a higher form of trust. You stop trying to control the specific outcome, and you trust that what is drawn to you is exactly what was meant for you. This does not mean you cannot have specific desires. It means you hold the specific desire loosely while keeping the underlying magnetism open to receive whatever serves your divine right. Often what arrives is better than what you asked for. The fourth piece is the receiving consciousness versus the chasing consciousness. This is the polarity shift that determines everything. The chasing consciousness operates from the assumption that wealth is scarce, that you must work for it, that you must convince it to come to you, that you must compete for it. The chasing consciousness creates a frantic energy that actually repels what you are trying to attract, because energy moves toward stillness, not toward agitation. The receiving consciousness operates from the assumption that wealth is abundant, that it naturally moves toward the consciousness it is drawn to, that your only job is to be the magnet and let the law work. The receiving consciousness creates a calm, authoritative energy that things naturally come toward. Let me give you a very practical example of this. Imagine two people applying for the same job. Person one walks in with desperate energy. They need this job. They are anxious. They are trying too hard. They are over-preparing. They are projecting need from every pore. Person two walks in with calm certainty. They would value this opportunity, but they are not desperate. They trust that if this is theirs by divine right, it will move toward them. And if it is not theirs, something better is being prepared. The interviewer feels both energies immediately, even if they cannot articulate why. Person two gets the job more often, not because they were objectively more qualified, but because their magnetism was operating. The same dynamic operates in every area of life, in business negotiations, in client relationships, in romantic interest, in opportunities of every kind. The chasing energy repels, the magnetic energy draws. You have experienced this in small ways throughout your life. When you stop desperately searching for your keys and just relax, they appear. When you stop trying so hard to remember someone's name and let it drift, the name surfaces. When you stop pursuing a person and become content within yourself, suddenly they appear. This is not coincidence. This is the law of magnetism operating. The law works the same way with wealth. The moment you shift from chasing to being the magnet, the wealth that has been waiting in your divine right allocation begins to move toward you. The fifth piece is how to stop blocking your magnetism, because most people unconsciously reverse their own polarity every single day. The most common blocks Florence Shinn identified in her work with clients with ease. The first block is resentment toward other wealthy people. Every time you criticize someone wealthy, every time you mutter under your breath about how unfair it is that they have so much, every time you feel that contracted anger toward the rich, you reverse your own polarity. The magnet that should be drawing wealth now repels it. Because you have signaled to your subconscious that wealth makes people contemptible, and the subconscious will not deliver what it believes makes you bad. The second block is worry about money. Worry is the act of repeatedly speaking lack into law. Every worried thought is an instruction placed into the subconscious that says lack is the current reality, and lack must be maintained. The subconscious dutifully maintains lack. The third block is doubt about your own worthiness. The moment you say, "I do not deserve this," you have placed a powerful instruction that contradicts your magnet declaration. The subconscious cannot reconcile the two and defaults to the older, deeper instruction. And there is a specific practice Florence Shinn taught that accelerates this cleanup dramatically. She called it the blessing practice. Every single time you encounter someone wealthy, in person, on the screen, in conversation, in your thoughts, you silently bless them. You say internally, "I bless this person with even more abundance. What they have received does not affect what is being prepared for me." This sounds simple, but the energetic effect is profound. The moment you bless someone wealthy, your subconscious receives the instruction that wealth is good, that wealthy people are blessed, and you celebrate that. This rewires the old pattern of resentment in one stroke. And as you continue this practice over weeks and months, your magnetic field becomes increasingly clean, increasingly open, increasingly aligned with the consciousness of abundance. Florence had clients who practiced this for 30 days and reported that their entire relationship to wealthy people transformed. Where they had previously felt envy or resentment, they now felt genuine joy at others' abundance. And within that transformation, their own wealth began to flow more freely because they had removed the deepest block to their own magnetism. You must clean these blocks systematically. When you catch resentment, you forgive immediately. When you catch worry, you replace it with the affirmation. When you catch unworthiness, you remind yourself that divine right does not require you to deserve it. It is yours by inheritance, not by earning. The sixth piece is the contrarian truth that magnets do not try. And this is the piece that contradicts every hustle culture teaching and most modern manifestation content. The entire modern self-help industry is built around the idea that you must work harder, push more, hustle longer, sacrifice more to become wealthy. But Florence Shinn taught the opposite. She taught that effort can actually decrease your magnetism because effort comes from the consciousness of lack. You only effort towards something you believe you do not have. The moment you effort, you have already declared the thing is not yet yours. And the law builds the not yet. The magnet does not try harder when it wants to attract more iron. The magnet simply is more magnetic. You increase your magnetism not by working more, but by being more aligned with divine right, more rooted in the receiving consciousness, more trusting of the divine plan. This is the surrender principle Florence Shinn taught. Do the practical actions in front of you with peace, but let go of the outcome entirely. The outcome is not yours to control. The outcome is drawn by your magnetism. Your only job is to maintain the magnet. And let me give you the practical protocol for this so it does not stay abstract. In the morning, when you wake up, before your phone, before any other thought, speak the affirmation 3 times. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My word is my wand. 3 times, slowly, with feeling. Throughout your day, every time you catch yourself in chasing energy, every time you feel that frantic scrambling to make something happen, you stop and you speak the affirmation again. You let it reset your polarity from chasing back to magnetism. When you catch resentment towards someone wealthy, you immediately say, I bless them. What belongs to them by divine right does not affect what belongs to me by divine right. When you catch worry about money, you immediately replace it with the affirmation. When you catch doubt about your worthiness, you remind yourself of divine right. And at night before sleep, the final conscious thought you place into your subconscious is the affirmation. You let it dissolve into the drowsy state so the subconscious can integrate it through the 8 hours of sleep. You do this every day for 90 days, no exceptions. And at the end of 90 days, you will not be the same person who started this practice. The consciousness shift will have produced enough outer change that you will have evidence the law is operating. And from that evidence, conviction deepens. And from conviction, the law operates with even greater power. Here is the whole picture. You have spent your entire life believing that wealth required pursuit, that you had to chase it, work for it, compete for it, deserve it. But Florence Shinn understood a truth that runs underneath all of that. Wealth is drawn by polarity, not pursued by effort. The silver and the gold belong to God, and what God has allocated to you by divine right cannot be withheld by any person or condition. Your only job is to maintain the consciousness of being the magnet, to speak the words that activate your magnetic field, to clean the blocks that reverse your polarity, and to trust that what is drawn to you is exactly what was meant for you. The affirmation we have discussed tonight contains all of this in 3 sentences. Identity in, I am an irresistible magnet. Claiming in, for all that belongs to me by divine right. Activation in, My word is my wand. Every time you speak these 3 sentences with conviction, you are doing the entire work Florence Shinn spent her career teaching her clients to do. Before we close, I want to say something honest. When you first speak this affirmation in a season of real financial difficulty, it can feel almost absurd to call yourself an irresistible magnet when nothing seems to be moving toward you. The bank account contradicts the claim. History contradicts the claim. The current circumstances scream that you are not a magnet for anything. But you must understand that the claim is not describing your current circumstances. The claim is establishing the consciousness from which a new reality will be drawn. The relationship to the field always comes before the visible evidence. You do not need to feel like a magnet to speak the words. You do not need perfect faith. You do not need to silence the doubts. You just need to speak the affirmation consistently, even imperfectly, even with the flinch still present, and trust that the speaking itself is doing the work. So say it one more time with me before you finish this video. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My word is my wand. Hold that, feel it, let it land in you as a truth rather than as a performance. And tomorrow, when you wake up, speak it again, and the day after that, and the day after that, for 90 days, no exceptions. And at the end of those 90 days, come back and tell me what changed, because something will. And that something will be the beginning of a completely different relationship between you and wealth. You have the tool now. You have the teaching of Florence Shinn herself. You have the protocol. The rest is in your hands. The law of divine magnetism is waiting for your clear declaration. And tonight, you are giving it the most precise instruction Florence Shinn ever taught.